Our topic today is a very exciting new offering from Microsoft called Dynamics Employee Self-Service. The purpose of this offering is to make it easier for your employees to find information and to get their questions answered without having to call someone or wait until office hours. I'm going to be turning this over to a special guest that we have today, Kevin Adler from Microsoft.
So thank you, Jim. It's Kevin Adler with Microsoft. I appreciate the opportunity to join you on this webcast to talk to customers about improving productivity with Microsoft's newest solution offering employee self-service based on Microsoft Dynamics CRM, believe it or not. This is a modern app that can be deployed in, I would think, less than 10 or 12 weeks within an organization to help end users find information, find answers to their questions, and actually increase productivity. In fact, that's part of the challenge with what we're seeing today is that employees just simply have too much information. There's numerous SharePoint portals, there's numerous inter-network drives. There's a lot of information, and the challenge that we're seeing with customers is that 44% of the time users can't find these bits of information or answers. They've got questions, they've got to pick up the phone, they've got to run down the hall, they've got to tap their colleague. What this solution focuses on is giving those answers to the end users like you and me on any device, on any operating system throughout the organization, so that they can access one application, could be Microsoft Office, could be an intranet portal, could be SharePoint, and they can find the answers to increase their productivity. We're thinking 20 to 30% based upon our statistics. So really the trend is for the rapid creation and retrieval of this knowledge, and that's going to differentiate key leading enterprise and organizations in the next 3 years. And not only is knowledge management an up-and-coming area of expertise, but customers using Microsoft Office today really don't have to change the way in which they create and share and consume knowledge, because they'll be able to do that through this solution for employee self-service. So we'd like to, inspire customers, Jim, to really imagine having the right answers to the latest policy, having that current response, and not only being able to find it, but being able to use it in a Word document, in a PowerPoint presentation. And that's really what we're talking about, knowledge everywhere at Microsoft. So what we're talking about today is the integration with this knowledge for your users. And this scenario, we've got a user on the far left of the screen. In this scenario, she's got a question. Could be a complex question, could be a simple question, it doesn't matter. In order for her to perform her day-to-day activity, the employee needs help. So where might they start to find the answer? Well, they can actually search for knowledge. They can search for the answer in a portal. This is a contextual search, which means, Jim, just like you and I search today on Bing or Yahoo for the nearest pizza shop or any of our natural language searches, this employee can have the same simplicity with finding answers in a portal with this gazetteer. If they aren't near a portal, maybe they want to stay within Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word. We call it the apps of the day. These are quick apps that integrate with other apps, and many customers of ours spend a lot of hours in Microsoft Outlook. And so imagine being able to find answers without leaving Outlook. How cool would that be? Through a right click, searching a knowledge base and finding answers within Office. Perhaps there's a more challenging question, or perhaps the employee wants to fire up a chat. Now, included with the solution is a web-based, very thin client, Jim. It's a chat widget that essentially allows the end user to fire up a chat to ask a question. They don't need to know who they need to ask. They just know that if they need assisted service, they can fire up that chat, they can fire up their question, and then someone will answer them. Subject matter expert will answer them very rapidly through that chat message. Now, also a lot of our customers have Link or Skype for Business deployed, and that's fantastic because this can easily integrate with that infrastructure. But for those customers that don't yet have Link or don't have an integrated internal chat, the solution includes one which is very lightweight and it's very simple to use. And the nice thing about it, what I like the most about it, is that for me to find an answer, I don't need to know who to find if they're present, if they're sitting at their desk, I can just chat the question and then the assistance will be delivered to me through that chat browser. And let's say, Jim, we've exhausted all these different options, we've looked at the portal, we can't find the answer we're looking for. I can go ahead as an employee and I can submit a ticket. That ticket then goes and gets addressed to the subject matter expert who's there and responsible to close out the ticket to answer my question, allowing me to move forward with my day being productive for my employee. Now, in the background, while all of this is happening, we're actually being able to track metrics. So we can actually track the keywords, the contextual words that were searched. Where is the article for policy P13? We can identify how often knowledge articles are surfaced. And as a result, we know which knowledge is popular. We also know which knowledge is not popular. And maybe that is an indication we can retire old, outdated knowledge. We don't have to maintain that all for forever. We can actually do an analysis for what content's being utilized, what's being consumed, and what content isn't. And based upon that, we also see where we need to grow our knowledge base. Our knowledge is like a storefront that you want to keep current so that customers keep coming back and they keep giving you that feedback on how valuable or invaluable that knowledge is so you can continue to drive greater efficiencies and productivity. So it's through this solution that you're able to deliver knowledge, figure out the knowledge gaps, and move forward with productivity. So this is a screen capture of the architecture, Jim, that essentially would be working with the organization's existing business technology platform on the lower left of my screen. And the employee self-service knowledge platform basically slips in or integrates in with that existing infrastructure. So it's a complement to the technologies customers already have. And what it allows customers to do is serve up to their employees knowledge on mobile devices, could be Androids, could be iPhones, could be Blackberries, and it also works on Windows phones. It could also be portals. So these internal portals, a lot of our customers have SharePoint stood up for maybe a one-stop shop where employees log in, the first line of the defense for the day. This could integrate beautifully into SharePoint so that your end users, again, really don't care where the answer is. They're just able to log into a portal, ask the question, get the answer, and move about their day. The knowledge platform also integrates beautifully into SharePoint and Outlook, and also into existing business applications so that consistent answers and knowledge for all employees are delivered regardless of who's asking the question and, more importantly, who's delivering the answer, because we've all heard the riddle, ask 11 people and get 11 different answers. This is going to give all those 11 people the same answer based upon valuable knowledge that's maintained in this infrastructure. And whether the questions revolve around IT, program policy, whether or not the questions revolve around ethics, customer service, inspections, really that's what the plumbing will support. So in essence, what we're delivering is the capabilities to streamline, simplify, and manage customer knowledge. And customers can update that as they see fit. It's really simple to deliver this on any operating system, any device, and because this is a quick modern app based upon Microsoft Dynamics, it can snap into existing enterprise applications, into portals, into mobile, and even into Office today. So really what this is going to enable and deliver is enhancement to services. Customers are then going to be able to analyze those rich search queries to improve self-service and deflection. The goal is to avoid tickets. The goal is to keep employees productive, to moving them forward throughout their day, not holding them up. And so as we continue to refine and understand the analytics or the metrics, we're going to be able to roll out the customer will be able to roll out enhancements to the knowledge. And because of that, their productivity will increase because they're going to have access at their fingertips to quick access to consistent, organized, and meaningful information. And as a result of that, employee satisfaction is going to increase because regardless of the question, employees are then going to be able to find answers very simply on their mobile device, through Office, through a portal. And then that ability to capture and make use of that rich feedback is going to drive continual improvements for the organization. And then management's also going to have line of sight into what content's hot and what content is not hot. And therefore, they're going to be able to increase that based upon user feedback, which I'll show you in just a second. And then a lot of agencies and a lot of customers are worried about compliance. So whether or not I'm able to, as an employee, can I speak to the press? What happens when someone calls me from the news and they want to comment on something? I want to be able to figure out the answer rapidly as an end user so I can adhere to my organizational compliance, keeps me out of hot water, keeps everybody humming along in their job. So when you're able to access knowledge anytime and anywhere, it could look like a portal. We've got some screenshots here, Jim, on the far right of the page, which talk to the simplicity of what this might look like. Really all you need is a search portal. And that search portal can either be included in the portal that's actually included with the software, or it can be integrated into existing search portal or portals within the organization, within our customers. And because it's based all on the Microsoft cloud, none of this infrastructure will need to be maintained, updated, patched, served by our customers, which will then allow them to focus on their mission and create knowledge that's meaningful and accessible to anyone who wants to consume that knowledge 24/7, 365 days a year, excuse me. So from the far right of this screen, Jim, we're able to see how we can access knowledge right into Word. So in this scenario, the end user is creating an accident and reporting investigations questionnaire. And they're actually going to do a right click and they're going to look right inside the knowledge base for that answer right in Word. In this scenario, we're actually able to do the same thing because managing a Word document and managing your Outlook inbox are just so similar. We're able to do the same behavior in Outlook. So whether or not I'm creating a report on accident reporting investigations, or if I'm a HR generalist and I'm answering the questions on what's our parental leave policy, I can find that answer simply by right-clicking right within Outlook. Again, never leaving that application, increasing my productivity and solving that problem and then moving about the day. I do want to do a demo, but before I do, I want to talk about the investment so many customers have in SharePoint. Obviously, that's a great tool for creating content, for managing content, for warehousing content. It's a great, fantastic tool, and this solution layers on top of it, kind of like icing to a cake, in that it makes getting the information out of SharePoint that much more simple. So users will, again, they're going to use the self-service solution to locate those answers, and users honestly don't care where the data is, whether or not it's in SharePoint, whether or not it's in this SharePoint portal, if it's in that SharePoint portal. Users don't have to request access if they are granted permissions. And that's another thing we should stop actually and talk about. Is this solution integrates with single sign-on. So if I am in a group of employees that have access to a repository of knowledge, then this scenario would allow me to get at that knowledge through employee self-service. If you're sitting next to me and you don't have access to the same repository of knowledge, Jim, that I do, then you would be restricted naturally through that single sign-on architecture. So it does leverage the investments customers already have with Microsoft solutions, technologies, etc. But it also makes sure that when using SharePoint for that enterprise collaboration and content management, that only those with rights to view that content get to view that content. Going back to our scenario with the employee, if they need information, they don't really need to figure out which portal to hunt for that answer. They can just go to the solution, they can fire it up, go to that browser or that app within Outlook. They can actually also do this on their mobile phone if connected to their internal network, and they can ask the question seeking out the answer. In return, the knowledge with a link to that content will surface, excuse the pun, will surface on the employee self-service portal for the employee to find the answer to their question and go about their day. Again, it's transparent to the employee where the content is stored or maintained, but from the enterprise perspective, that's the value of SharePoint on the back end. Managing that content could be a video, could be documents, could be PowerPoint presentations, what have you. And all that digital archives is still maintained from an enterprise safe and secure perspective inside of SharePoint. So here's where we get to do the fun stuff, Jim. I'm going to actually minimize my slides. Now, let me know, you'll be my guinea pig. I'm going to jump from my slides over to this demonstration portal, and I can see you that this is working for me. Looks like it's working for you too, right? Fantastic. So this is an example of what comes out of the box, quote unquote, with the solution. This is a fictitious demonstration portal, Jim, that we stood up in advance of today's presentation to talk about employee self-service. And you can probably guess that the transportation.gov logo would be replaced with whatever customer we're talking to, hopefully in the very near future. But what wouldn't be replaced is the simplicity of the user interface, perhaps the iconography, the colors, the fonts. This would look just like their intranet site today. But because we were building this for this webcast, we built this for U.S. Department of Transportation. And you can see it's a very responsive website. I can actually look for answers very quickly. Jim, I might want to explore the knowledge base. I might want to fire up a live chat we talked about earlier. I might want to walk through a troubleshooter, which is actually a very nice set of questions, if-then questions that comes with the solution. Or I can also download content if I wanted to download user guides or employee manuals. If I wanted to search for those employee manuals, where might I start? Well, we can actually dive right into the knowledge base, and we can see currently there's more than 34 reference articles created for self-service delivery of information, from benefits, from procedures, from health answers. We talked about flu shots a couple of months ago with November right around the corner and the flu season. So if we wanted to publish the flu season schedule of locations to get that flu shot, we can easily do that on this intranet-based portal. But not only could we search for it from a click perspective, but if I actually went back to the beginning, Jim, and let's say I didn't really want to find it that direction, I can actually just type in a couple of keywords, and you'll notice that the solution is querying the database of answers rapidly as I type in the question. I've never seen such a better solution of finding the answer even before I'm finished asking the question. And there's answers to my question about I need a flu shot. And then I can figure out, oh, Thursday I can go to this conference room, or Friday I can go to that conference room. Perhaps there's links to sign up. Perhaps there's other content. The related topics module is also important because maybe there's preparation I need to do for this exercise of receiving a flu shot. So we can always link related articles in the bottom right of my screen. And the other nice thing I like to talk about is the fact whether or not this solved the end user's problem or answered their question. So it certainly solved my question of where can I find a flu shot. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up and hit submit. And that's going to go back in that metrics module we talked about earlier, where management's going to be able to see, wow, you know, Kevin looked for a flu shot and found the answers he needed and was on about his day. Now, say this was more relevant for another scenario. We just talked earlier about railroads, so probably there's some accidental information. So accident. Okay. This is very relevant. There's a lot of process and policies that all of us as employees need to be aware of and be on the cusp of. If I'm a railroad inspector out in the field looking at an incident or an accident that just happened, Jim, how am I going to remember the dozen or so requirements of when I need to report this incident? So I can easily, through this portal, and remember, I can also do this on my mobile device. I'm going to actually, through the magic of a browser, I'm going to shrink the size of the browser and show you how this beautifully adjusts to fit the screenshot. So if I were on a iPhone 6 Plus or a brand new Lumia 950 or anything else that I could hold in my hands, be a tablet, you notice how the user interface is responsive. And that's by design. That's the beautiful thing about creating a solution with Microsoft Dynamics, is that the end user can access the information on whatever device they want to. So getting back to the content, here's the answer to which accidents I need to report based upon policy and procedure. So I can go on about my day out in the field or in the office. I can answer the question, yes, this did solve my problem. Now, Jim, if there were customers out there who perhaps this didn't solve their problem, and I'm a field inspector and I need someone to get back to me, I can absolutely, from this form right here in the bottom left of my screen, submit a ticket. Now, that's a nice thing about this solution, is it does have ticketing support, and it also creates the ability to manage all of the knowledge within the same ticketing solution. So you're not supporting multiple interfaces from an admin perspective. So I think that's a good overview of finding knowledge through digging through a knowledge base, through searching with our natural language search. We've also got customers who expressed pain when they had to look for replacements for their Metro Smart Card. And so that's another scenario that you can throw up here in an article and help employees who need to replace their lost Metro benefit smart card. It's very simple to update, to create, and to classify knowledge for your end users to discover it and digest it and make use of it. So let me jump out of the demonstration and let's go back to the slide. Okay, and while we're doing this, this is a good question, Q&A time. Jim, if you want to open up the mics, we can take questions from folks out on the audience, in the audience land. There we go. There we go. So, Jim, your question about deployment is a good one, and actually we get that from a lot of customers. Generally, we're seeing this system, this solution, taking about 8 to 12 weeks. So I'd say 3 months out of the gate, they would get this employee self-service stood up and deployed throughout their organization. And whether or not that's to 5 users, 500 users, 5,000 users, it's really the same time because it's all cloud, and it's really configuration, not coding. So that's a nice thing. And then the other question I heard was, what if there's other knowledge that comes in the future? How can that be expanded? Well, this is essentially a solution that evolves with customer needs. So when your first instance of this can be deployed maybe around benefits or program policy. Let's say another group down the hall has another area for employee knowledge they want to contribute or add to this solution. We can allow them to fire up a brand new folder of knowledge and load that with content, and that's what your team would do from a services perspective, and stand that up for the customer, and then that also can be searched on, digested, and then analyzed for success back at the home office. Any other questions?
What license is required to view the reporting analytics output from this?
It wouldn't be a Microsoft presentation, Jim, without reference to licensing. We have actually, there's a couple of license models that are required for this solution. From an end user perspective, Jim, those knowledge workers who are consuming, who are digesting knowledge, they need the employee self-service SKU, and these SKUs are all available on all of our customers' enterprise agreements through the resellers, so that that end user has the ability to search for content, unlimited ability, I should say, to search for content for answers. They can search within Outlook, they can search within Office, so it doesn't matter where they search. They can also fire up the chat and create tickets. That end user is the first license that's required. The second license is for those content managers, Jim, who are really going to be responsible for managing the knowledge of the organization or of the group, and there's going to be far fewer of those than the end users consuming, because when you publish a policy on inspection protocols, that policy needs to be published by that manager or administrator, that power user. That power user needs that more robust license for this employee self-service solution, which, if we're talking about the specific SKUs, is the Microsoft Dynamics Enterprise license, which includes this solution for customers.
I've got another question here. Can you show us how knowledge ends up in the knowledge base? And a kind of a follow-on, is there a way to do bulk knowledge transfers?
Let's do the easy question first. Bulk knowledge transfers are the easiest thing to do because you're working with customers, Jim, who already have knowledge. You can easily import it, let's say, through a common delimited file, a spreadsheet, could be Word documents. Any way to get that information stood up in this system is really where the services play comes involved. But yes, let me show you the fun stuff. So I'm going to minimize my slides, go back to the actual portal. So here we were talking about the flu shot, okay? So I'm going to pull the curtain back and show some of the service desk user interface. Let me just log back in. Security has pushed me out because of inactivity. That's good to know. I'm going to log in, and you'll notice that I'm in the service desk. Now, I don't want you to focus on anything other than, let's pull up that article on flu shots, Jim, and you'll notice that it's really simple. If I can create an email, I can manage content from a knowledge perspective. Here's those answers that we saw earlier, and you notice that I can format them. I can just throw a tabular component of data up here. I can address which folders that they'll show up. Maybe there's a couple of folders that this knowledge will be available in. Maybe I want to make it a little bit more simple to find, so I can add some optional keywords to help users digest this content. But let's say if I wanted to change this article, I'm actually going to do it right inside this editing tool, and I'm going to change it from black text. Let's make it red text, and just for fun, let's make it a little bit larger than what it is today. So actually I can preview it. Again, it's WYSIWYG, so I've just made it red and I made it bolder. All I need to do, Jim, is publish it, and it's as easy as saving this down to the knowledge base, and the information then gets published. You'll notice at the very top it says action successful. I saved it, and there's the article link, so that when I go back to the portal on the front end and we revise this search, you'll notice I need a flu shot. We'll bring up the answer, and the content will be in red, just like we formatted it on the back end. So again, it really is simple for knowledge managers or folks like you and me to create knowledge and share it with our organization.
And
And what I like about this, Jim, is the ability for me to subscribe to this article at the top of this screen. So if I'm interested in flu shots for the family or for next year or for what have you, or for whatever content's published, I can subscribe to this content knowledge. And when you publish or anyone publishes an update, I'm alerted automatically. That's pretty cool. And again, I can email this out to colleagues or coworkers. If I'm given permission, I can print this. I could discuss this. This could link back to Yammer. So this is a really good holistic solution for employee self-service.
thank you so much. Can you tell us anything more about reporting? You mentioned metrics early on.
Yeah, reporting is a good conversation to have. The value of identifying, Jim, what content is being consumed and utilized and what content is not. We have a reporting module that I would only show you if we were having a glass of wine, because it's not one to show on a webcast of this nature. But yes, reports come out of the box and you can actually see page views, you can see date ranges of which content was highly consumed, how many folks performed knowledge-based searches, how many folks downloaded content, how many service requests were there, and then also those failed searches. My favorite is you've got employees asking questions, but there is an answer, Jim. Somebody has that answer, but it's not shareable. So the nice thing about that is if you ask a question and I'm the subject matter expert who has that answer, I can submit that answer to the knowledge base for an administrator to review and publish the content so that the next time another colleague of mine asks the same answer, they can perform the self-service. Through self-service, they can find that answer themselves.
Thank you so much. So let me just make sure I understand. There was an earlier question about licenses, and it sounds like there are two types of users. There are people who create and maintain the knowledge base and would view these reports, and then there are the rest of the employees at your agency or company who consume the knowledge. Is that correct? Are there two different types?
Yep, you hit the nail on the head. The end user to consume knowledge needs an employee self-service license, which is a very lightweight, very quick to deploy and inexpensive license. And then the more robust license is going to be for those few folks in the organization who are actually creating and standing up knowledge. And so what we're seeing as a holistic summary here is the ability to drive, analyze search queries, understand how to improve self-service knowledge deflection. We're also going to talk about employee productivity boosting, and we talked about earlier having that employee have higher satisfaction because they can find answers quickly. And then the management's going to like the continuous loop of feedback feedback, excuse me, and also the simplicity for supporting agency compliance, reinforcing all those organizational procedures and policies, which I know we at Microsoft have a lot of them. And when put into a knowledge base like this, Jim, it becomes very simple for me to figure out policies and procedures for me to go about my day as an employee of Microsoft. So I think we want to turn the table now and talk about how to get started. I know that obviously we've got folks on the phone who are familiar with information strategies, but really want to see what makes this resonate. I know from working with customers, Jim, is seeing customers having their own knowledge in a trial. So if any of the folks who can hear my voice now or in the future want to see their own knowledge in a trial scenario, instead of the Department of Transportation that we walked through in this fictitious trial, reach out to Information Strategies. Jim and his team are here in Friendship Heights, DC, really educated on this solution, able to integrate it and bridge the gap with the investments many customers already have with Microsoft tools like Office or SharePoint or Dynamics. And then, well, Jim and his team can show how to digest that information in a portal or in an Office app or a mobile app. So that's essentially the presentation that I had created to walk through with you today. I'm wondering if there's any final questions. Well, with that, I do want to point, oh, was there a question? I do want to invite folks to jot down my email address. It's my name, so that's pretty easy. It's kevin.adler@microsoft.com. You know Jim and his team here at Information Strategies. Any of us are eager and willing to help answer questions about Microsoft Employee Self-Service.
Hey, Kevin, I'm going to just hit you up for one more thing. Can you just go to your browser and go to InfoStrat.com?
Yes.
We did create something that's a quick start for this solution where we help you get going. If you look under Services, then you can see there's about a third of the way down, Dynamics Employee Self-Service. We've got some information there about that. InfoStrat is very focused on Microsoft solutions for public sector. And so we try to be one of the first adopters of all the newest and exciting products that come from Microsoft. And I think this may be the newest one. So I'm really grateful that I could get on your calendar to appear today. Again, we will post this recording on the events page of InfoStrat.com in case you'd like to review it or show someone else. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.